I know civil rights leaders did not fight this hard for us to still be in the same place we were at that time. And it's like getting ridiculous because just like we're in 2023 and we're still fighting over we're still having the same issues. Like you thought we would have progressed more, but it's just like we have gone nowhere.
Students are back in school in Florida where they are going to be taught that slaves developed skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit, and that certain race massacres, like the racial terror in Ocoee in 1920, included acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. And if Florida state officials have their way, those kind of history lessons will be exported across the country.
This is something that's going to set the norm for standards in other states when it comes to African American history.
Joining us now is Jelani Cobb, Dean of the Journalism School at Columbia University and staff writer for The New Yorker. Dean Cobb, thank you for being here to help put some needed perspective on all of this. I know it is never a good thing to whitewash history, to rewrite history. But what about the particular evil when you're rewriting the history of a community like Ocoee that has been so historically and systematically disenfranchised?
Well, it compounds the original offense, so, you have the outrage, the atrocity that occurred a century ago, and then you add insult to that historical injury by trying to diminish the scale of the horror that is entailed in that history and other histories in that state and beyond. And I think the more troubling element of this, though, is that, the way that history is framed is almost always connected to the way that the contemporary politics are being framed. And so when we see these attempts to copy edit history, to try to present an even-handed view of lynchings and massacres, what are you rationalizing for the current state of affairs? When you see people who are killed attempting to cast a ballot, what are you attempting to lay a groundwork for in the contemporary context?
Well, I mean, and I think to that end, what do you see as a potential through line between the massacre at Ocoee, which was specifically to disenfranchise Black voters, to terrorize them into not exercising their fundamental democratic right, and the election of 2020, where Black voters in particular, voters of color in major urban centers across this country, the leading head of the Republican Party, assisted by other fellow Republicans, were trying to disenfranchise those voters in Atlanta, in Philadelphia, in Detroit, and elsewhere. I mean,
sure.
What is the lesson you draw? What is the parallel you see between the events of 1920 and the events of 2020?
Well, I mean, it's notable, by the way, that, Philadelphia was in there in Pennsylvania, and Milwaukee was in there, too, in Wisconsin. And, we just see these federal indictments being handed down for Atlanta in Georgia. And so in the states where there are millions of other voters, the center of attention was conveniently or coincidentally in these population centers that were filled with African-American voters. And so the precedent in history is not hard to illuminate, not hard to connect. And so we see, what these things, the kind of the ugly specter of disenfranchisement, of violent disenfranchisement in history rearing its head yet again in the contemporary context.
And I think the other part of it that I find so distressing is the notion of systemic racism has effectively been erased, or it is censored in the state of Florida. But in a place like Ocoee, it bears mentioning that after this racial terror was inflicted upon Black residents, Black property owners literally fled the town. Their properties were resold to white residents for pennies on the dollar. I mean, this is how we end up in a place with such perverted economic disenfranchisement and political disenfranchisement. And I just wonder, we had this little mini documentary that we just played. The kids in Ocoee want to learn about their history, but I worry that so much of the connective thread is being lost when people are literally having to find out about events like the Ocoee massacre on the internet, and they are not being shown the sort of full spectrum of events that has kind of led us to where we are today. Do you worry about that as an academic, what resources they have to really paint a full picture of our American history?
Sure. I mean, so there are two things, to your point. One is that Ocoee is not atypical. That kind of land loss, if you really want to kind of get into the most horrid aspects of that history, you can just look at the scale of the land loss in town after town after town, county after county, state after state, especially in those 50 years that followed emancipation. You have people who were just driven out and their land was seized and sometimes sold, as you mentioned, on pennies on the dollar. Now, what happens when you give this highly curated version of that history to people is that you render them incapable of actually being civic-minded participants. You make it difficult for them to actually participate in the fundamental elements of democracy, which is supposed to be our responsibility as citizens of a constitutional democratic state. And so, yeah, there are ripple effects that, not only as an academic, as someone who's concerned about the integrity of democracy, these are things that I think about and I'm pretty alarmed about.
Yeah, this is foundational to having a thriving and surviving democracy. We have to leave it there. Professor Dean Cobb, it is always so wonderful to speak with you, even when it is about very, very distressing developments in American society. Thanks so much for your time this Friday evening.